Hello everybody, Andy here again. The other day I was having a comment conversation once again and it inspired yet another video. This particular one, I want it all. Well, the idea behind this is, has the internet and everything that we've got nowadays, that's instant connectivity, instant just about everything, does it spoil life if you can think back to what it used to be? Now, people who are fairly young, I suppose, relatively young, probably won't notice some of the things that us old people go on about all those years ago when we used to have to wait for everything. You know, it's like now if you want news, there it is, at the click of a mouse, click of a button, there it is for you. You can just go online, don't even have to wait to buy a newspaper, let alone when news happens, you used to have to wait till the newspaper came out the next day to actually read anything about it. Even the news programmes on the TV, although they might have people live in certain areas, it did have a satellite signal. It was very grainy and it didn't work. And go back years ago, and they took days for the news to get through. Now that opens up other things as well. We all know about now that it encourages openness within governments, or at least stifles some of these governments who want to hide things and suppress certain things. They can't do it quite the way that they used to. So in that respect, it's a good thing. But is it a bad thing in other ways? That suspense has gone. Maybe that excitement that you used to get when you used to wait for something. The example that myself and Pippilly were talking about in the comments was about albums and about music. We're talking specifically about the Beatles, but anybody nowadays. When the Beatles came out, the music was released in album form, in single form, obviously on vinyl. And in those days, music used to be played on the radio, yes, and you used to get a certain amount of music on the TV, but you never really heard those albums until you physically went out and bought them. And the first time you really heard an album was when you got it home, put it on the turntable, put that needle on, and there it was. That was the first time you ever heard anything. Nowadays, if you haven't seen the video that it's been released about 2 months before the single comes out, if you want, tracks are played on the radios now. It's literally months in advance of the actual physical product or even the downloadable products coming out now. I'm do that for my daughter. She gives me little lists of stuff that she wants downloaded off the internet for her, because I encourage her to do it legally, which is what I do. So she gives me a list, and so often the songs are not available. They don't come out sometimes for at least a month in advance, and she's aware of this sort of thing happening. They're probably just the ones that she thinks are out and out. So it's that whole thing. So when does that spoil things? In fact, you've got it there for you, as I said, immediately. Suspense is a good thing, it's sometimes it's better to wait for something, and sometimes it's better if something is a bit hidden. There's a bit of mystery there sometimes, isn't there? It gets to things a bit too prematurely, if you see where I'm coming from. And sometimes it's better to have that little bit of mystery. It's that little bit that's still behind the curtain that you can discover at your leisure, rather than have it all thrown on you. Yes, of course, it's great to have these things at the click of a mouse, as I said before, and you can turn on the TV, you can see something live that's happening now from the other side of the world, talking about sort of 9/11 and all that sort of recently. And that's one of the things that made that such a big event. It would have been a world-shaking event anyway, obviously, but it had so much effect on people because people lived it. They saw it happening live on the TV. Even some years ago, as I said, if we had got satellite images, they'd have been grainy, they wouldn't have been as good. You look back at old news footage and things like that, and you wouldn't really been able to see it, and it had to be shipped somewhere or flown somewhere. It wasn't that instantaneous. And now we moan about things, don't we? We listen to things on the radio, or we moan about internet connections. Can you remember, literally to a few years ago, probably for most of us, now some of you may still be there, the old days of the dial-up. Do you remember that, when you used to click on it, used to make all those strange funny noises, etc., and you couldn't talk on the telephone at the same time? It cut everybody else from contacting you because you didn't have a mobile cell phone at the time either. And now when our broadband doesn't work quite well and you're uploading the video and it won't download something very well, we're sitting back and going, oh, come on, they used to call it the World Wide Wait. Do you remember that? Nowadays, a lot of us, the vast majority of us, especially if we're watching streaming videos, especially in HD, that's days have gone by. And how long ago was that? Literally a few years ago. So that's how things have come on. I'd love to know what people think. If you remember that sort of mystery that you had of going and getting the album, apart from the fact of the physical products, that's another issue once again, rather than the downloadable CD. I don't buy many CDs now. I get my music online. If I fancy it, if I hear something on the radio, click, I can go on there, get it straight away. Even don't have to go outside the house to buy a new book or something like that. It's advertised on Amazon or whatever it might be, and I can get it usually the day it comes out, and if you're lucky, maybe even the day before it comes out. We have over here in the UK, we have a system called Spotify, which is like a music streaming service, a totally legal one. We can listen to whole albums of just about anything. I was listening to the new Muse album the other day before it came out. U2 famously released their album on the internet a week before it came out. As I said, all that mystery, all that suspense is gone. I'm as bound as anyone else. I want it all now. You get impatient and you see the latest new gadget come out. Apple bring out a new computer, iPod, iPhone or something. I'm thinking, oh, I want that. And now you can spread it to other things. We have credit cards and that type of thing. We can just, once again, on the internet at the click of a button. Very, very dangerous, that is. It's even worse than taking it into a shop and punching in, a PIN code or something, or even signing your name. That takes a little bit of time. You go to Amazon, they've got a one-click system or something like that, which I disable because that is very, very dangerous. No wonder we actually all get into problems, we all get into debt. And if you think about that, isn't that exactly the way that we got into all the money problems that we are now? People over borrowing because it was so easy to do so, and then trying to cover it up with other things. There you go. Sometimes it is great. It's great to want it all. It's great to have that new technology, to have everything, as I said, at your fingertips basically. It's there when you want it, whenever you want it, 24/7. 365 days of the year. Sometimes, you can go back and look at what it used to be like in the old days, when at Christmas Day everything was shut, at the weekends things were closed, and where that leads on to. But maybe that's a big wide argument. The more you think about this, the more you can see that whole sort of culture change affects us so much more. We can't go back, we can never turn the clock back, but we can be nostalgic and we can still reminisce about the feel of that vinyl, the look of that album cover, and that excitement that you got when you went into the shop and saw it was there. There it was for the first time. You saw the artwork in the sleeve, in the record rack. You took it home, you put it on the turntable, you read the back of the album, and you put it on. The first time you ever heard that favourite album of yours, if you're my age group, it probably was in exactly that situation. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes it is good to wait for things to you appreciate them a bit more. I think it's like that nowadays with kids, with anything like that. I remember back, parents always used to say, if you wait for something, you desire it a bit more, and you actually appreciate it more when you get it. If something is there just at the click of a mouse, a touch of a button, the pin number on a credit card or something like that, you get it instantly. It's a bit more of a throwaway product, and maybe you don't value it quite as much as you used to in the old days. Food for thought. If you want to get involved with this discussion, please do, because I'd love to know what other people think, especially maybe younger people as well. But any of the older people, do you reminisce and think about those days, or are you glad they've all gone? Anyway, thanks for your time. I shall speak to you again soon. Goodbye.